I don't think any are thinking political. None of my children are like, let me be the president.
Mine aren't either. I thought everyone's grandfather was president. We were 7, so I didn't understand the gravity of the moment, but our grandfather was so humble that we didn't realize that his role was unique. And so we went to his inauguration, which was so much fun. And we went to the parade and there's balloons, and it's a dream at any age, but especially when you're little. And I thought, I'm about to go to so many inaugurations. All my friends' grandfathers are about to have their inaugurations. And it was very disappointing when I went back to school and I asked my best friend when her grandfather's inauguration was going to be. And I went home and journaled about my disappointment that I didn't have more to go to. But it does speak to his character and that he was so present with us and so humble, and humility really was his number one trait, that I just thought it was something we did for everyone. We're children of the 90s, so it was pre-cell phone and all of that, and also kind of the laissez-faire, benign neglect era of parenting, which our parents were always around, but we were just raised to be independent.
I mean, we played games and stuff with our parents, and our dad would run every day after work, and I would ride my bike next to him. Like, we spent tons of time together.
It just wasn't helicopter. It was the opposite of helicopter parenting.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they let us make mistakes, and we did make mistakes.
And also, we're happy adults because of it.
Yeah.
We used to have a really great party called Ye Olden Times.
You had to dress as an olden times character.
We were saber-tooth tigers.
We went very old that time.
Saber-tooth tigers. I was Cleopatra once, and I wrapped Henry in ace bandages, and he was a mummy.
I was Puss in Boots once, which I guess was an olden cat.
God, you just really like the cat theme.
Yeah.
I was Abigail Adams once, and I wore a corset. Anyway, we had that party around 4th of July, which was really nice of my parents to let us.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thank you. That was fun, Mom and Dad.
Henry had to pick Jenna up from the White House for their first date, which was...
And I made him wait because I'd read the book, The Rules, remember? And also that's sort of my personality. And they were all getting ready to go out too, Barbara and some of our girlfriends. So I was like... He's here, but hold on. You know, should I wear this?
She was just like wasting time to make him wait.
And that made him feel nervous. His ears were red.
He was embarrassed when Jenna got downstairs. Mm-hmm. I had been set up with Craig. We had been texting. I didn't think I'd ever see him. He wasn't living in New York. I was blowing him off. And Jenna and I were on our book tour for Sisters First. And I texted and said, like, I'm on a book tour. We're not going to be able to meet up. And he said, where are you? And I said, we're going to Atlanta tomorrow. And he was in Atlanta visiting his family. So he met me for a drink at our hotel. What I didn't tell him was that Jenna would be there. Jimmy Franco, our book publisher, would be there.
My old friend from college.
Alan Friesen would be there. I didn't know what he looked like because he's not on social media. So I went up to 3 different gentlemen, asking if they were Craig, and then luckily
and of course we were all like the laughter, you know.
I had like a little background. He walked in and I thought, he's cute, so I hope it's him, but also just let it be him to take me out of my misery. This is so awkward. It was him. And I had told Jenna before, I don't know this guy, under no circumstances, invite him along. And within 5 minutes, she said, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to come to our book event? So he came.
Do you want to thank me?
Well,
2 children later.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
He came, and our moderator was Emily Giffen, who is writes a lot about romance. And she loved that I was on a blind date. She found a bottle of champagne backstage and made us toast to getting married. So we have a photo of us, me, Craig, Jenna.
I think Emily and I were sort of the perfect tag team.
We all are toasting champagne. We do our moderated conversation and it's over. We're about to get up and Emily Giffen says to the audience, wait, everybody sit down. Barbara's on a blind date with a handsome gentleman, and they shine a spotlight on a different guy. Luckily not Craig.
They couldn't find him in the audience.
They couldn't find him. And then that was it. We walked off the stage, headed to the airport, and flew to Miami. And we thought it was funny, and we never thought we'd see the guy. We hazed him. We never thought we'd see him again, and now we're married.
I remember the first time I went into labor, and remember how nervous Mom was? Because my water broke at my baby shower. It was really early in the pregnancy. And so Mom kept like calling Barbara and Henry, and they were out to dinner. And I remember who they were out to dinner with, because she kept being like, is something wrong? Is something wrong? And she was like so excited, which is not her personality, because she's preternaturally calm.
Yes.
And she said she felt like there was something almost evolutionary about it, because she was like, this energy, which is not normally her. And so I remember when I first went into labor and they got to first hear that I had had a baby, there was a lot of excitement, unusual amounts.
Yeah.
I mean, I always knew she was gonna be a mom, because that was what she wanted, you know, and Barbara works hard to get whatever she wants, but it's so beautiful to see her embrace her kids, you know, and they are the luckiest, because she's so creative and fun and present and joyful. And that's all kids want, right? Is to feel like they're seen. And she makes both of her babies feel like that.
You're silly.
Cora Georgia I went into labor early in Maine. I, of course, thought she was going to be born in New York, where I lived. I thought we were just on a final one weekend away. And I woke up in the middle of the night, went into labor, and Googled hospitals near me. And my husband and I drove to the closest hospital, and I gave birth to Cora Georgia. And because she was early, she needed to be in the NICU for a few weeks. And when I went to go visit her in the NICU, it was in the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. And I had no idea, and it felt, of course, very divine and beautiful.
Mila has a very similar disposition to my mom and my sister. She's like a little bit quieter, gentler, really curious. She's super empathetic. Poppy has a little bit of my dad in her
She's funny and
desire to entertain
Yeah.
and dance, and she's totally herself, which I love. And then Hal Hager is all man. I'm not sure where that comes from. He's also can be very, very loving and gentle, but he's kind of himself as of now. I need to get in there and see where he probably has a little bit.
He's
of
got
me.
a bit of you.
He's got a little bit of
him.
me and the
He's
destructiveness.
funny and feisty.
Yeah, funny and feisty.
Cora Georgia is 3, so we're still learning who she is, but she's very gentle, which I would say is Mom and Grammy. She's very creative. She loves making stuff, which to our surprise is my dad,
Yeah.
who's an artist and a painter. She loves nothing more than getting to go to Hefe's studio with him and paint. And then Edward is 7 months, and we're figuring out who he is. He's just happy to be along for the ride. He's a smiley, happy guy, and I think he's just happy to try to keep up with his cousins and his sister right now.
Mila wants to be a doctor because she's obsessed with Grey's Anatomy. Thank you, Grey's Anatomy, for inspiring that.
The next generation of medical professionals.
Exactly. Thank you, Meredith Grey. Poppy wants to be a model, and which is great. And Hal Hager doesn't know what he wants to be yet. My mom came to visit a couple weeks ago, and we were driving around. We went to dinner, and Mila looked at me and she's like, "Are you humiliated? Are you humiliated?" I'm like, "What? Why would I be humiliated?" And it's because of the Secret Service.
Yeah, there's a lot of attention.
Entourage. And she was like, and she does not like that, which is another reason she's sort of like you.
Yes.
So she was like, and then I was like, "Well, do you want Grammy to come to bring your special person to school day?" And she's like, "Sorry, Grammy, but you can't do that. You can't do that," because she just like can't imagine. And she's also of that age. She's in middle school, you know, when you start to kind of internalize what it feels like to be in your position, you know? So she was like, "This is embarrassing." And I was like, "No, Mila, I'm not embarrassed now." But then I felt bad that I said that, because we would have totally been embarrassed in 7th grade.
It draws a lot of attention. And when you're in 7th grade, you are uncomfortable with that for sure.
But then they also told Hal, because we're in the car with the Secret Service, and he's like, "Are those the Secret Service?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they have, you know, things that law enforcement have. And they were like, "Hal, but you better act." I mean, this is why Hal is who he is. "You better act great or they're going to arrest you." And Hal was like, "But I didn't do anything." You know, like he was like, "Why are they arresting me?" And then the guy sort of played along, and it was,
oh no.
I know, poor Hal. We get why he is who he is. My kids love hijinks. I mean, they call me vavajena, for example. That's one thing they do, which feels inappropriate. Oh, do you know that Mila took my cell phone and filmed a Riz of the week with Henry, where she was trying to teach Henry how to Riz me up. Riz means charisma, but like a boy would Riz a girl. I mean, first of all, their language, Henry's always like Sigma, Omega, Riz, you know? And she was like, okay, Dad, you're gonna fall on the ground right when Mom walks in. And she's videotaped this whole thing. Fall on the ground and be like, and then hand her something and be like, sorry, I've just fallen for you. Okay, they did this whole thing. I'm like walking around cleaning dishes, you know, I'm exhausted. They do this whole thing for me. And Henry's like, okay, you know, Henry's just trying to play along, done it. Then she goes to my Instagram. She does not have a cell phone. She does not have any social media, and she won't till she's 16 years old. She knows that. And post it.
No, she doesn't.
And says, welcome to my Riz of the week. And it's her on it, like, hey, y'all, it's Mila. I'm teaching my dad how to Riz up my mom. And then the whole thing happens. And she's like, bye, y'all. That was my Riz of the week. Like, it's as if my Instagram was her YouTube channel. And then somebody was texting me and was like, OMG, I'm dead, Mila. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? And Henry was not happy because that was not what was negotiated upon. So anyway, that's
a hijinks.
And that's just one day in the life. That's sort of what our entire children's book is about, which is that if you can see the world through your kids' eyes and like really live in it, as opposed to being distracted with work or phones or, you know, all the things that we get distracted with, if you can really try to pay attention to the world as they see it, it's so optimistic and joyful and fun and creative and all the things that sort of combat some of the darkness that hangs over our world right now. And so it's kind of a call to action. It's actually great. I don't know if you think of it this way, but it's sort of a call of action to ourselves to be like, hey, put that down. You know, you only have so long. And I think that's one of the things that's shocking to me is Mila's gonna be 12 in like 3 weeks. And so, you know, we don't have that much more time, you know? And so I think it's about really being in it and enjoying the kids and trying to use their energy to combat any of the hardness in the world.
Agreed. I think Cora, George, and Edward have just taught me presence. She's 3 and he's 7 months and they need me. And I was just telling my husband this morning, I know at some point they're not gonna, I mean, it makes me wanna cry, need me in this way and I don't wanna miss it. So it's just trying to really enjoy every moment. And then having a 3-year-old, I mean, yesterday, the little tiny blooms of purple flowers were coming out of a flower bed when we were walking to school. And she was so excited and pointing it out. And I would have walked by and missed it and rushed to the subway. And she saw a dog playing with a stick and she kept saying, that dog thinks a stick is a toy. And these little things that are just so beautiful and magical about our world and our natural world that would be so easy to pass by, that it's such a reminder of the beauty around us. So I'll be co-hosting on March 24th and March 25th with my sissy.
How does that feel, sissy?
It feels good.
I've done it before. We had a blast. But after that time, I said I would never do it again. And now I'm coming back for 2 days.
Basically, she said she'd never do it again, and now she's coming for double the time. But that's what a sissy does. It'll be fun.
It's been fun. It's fun to do it together. It's been fun to think about who we can have on or what stories we can do while I'm on. So it's quite fun. We've been practicing for this since our childhood.
Yeah, we were doing this in the womb.
Yes.
We had a talk show called Barbara and Jenna and Friends.
In the womb.
In the womb. Barbara and
It
Jenna
was a
and
hit.
Friends. Yeah, we thought it was great. I think it's less like we encourage each other now and more if you've born with a twin who's been your instant partner, who's laughed at, in her case, she's laughed at a lot that I did. She was my first audience. I always felt like I could take risks because I had a really soft landing pad, both with her and my parents. And so it's not like she's like, hey, let me give you advice, go and do this. We don't really do that. It's more like the shared history of all those years makes me feel brave.
Yeah, knowing that we've only known the world with someone having our back. And so that allows you to take risks and to put yourself out there and to do more than you thought you might be capable of because you get the encouragement from somebody else.